At any moment, a rock just slightly too large could collide with our planet and end everything in a flash, consumed by flames, reduced to dust. It's a concept we've seen dramatized in film and fiction, often so absurd that it feels distant, even comforting in its impossibility. The likelihood is insanely low, nigh impossible, and witnessing these worlds end through our television or a novel separates us from the destruction, giving us that second-hand experience of catastrophe from the safety of our couch. But there exists a medium that offers something different, a medium where the impossible becomes something we feel, something we live. The art of video games. I am a completely unremarkable man living on a mountain in upstate New York. I don't have the intelligence or qualifications to produce a 3-hour documentary about the end of worlds, but I do have something else, a passion. A passion for art, for experiences in life. My own life has been marked by chronic pain and limitation. I've often been unable to live life the way I wanted, but video games, they've given me more than I have ever dreamed of. I've slayed monsters, explored the molten core of alien planets. I've built skyscrapers with my own 2 hands. I fought gods with weapons built by man. And today, I'd like to take you on a journey with me, delving into a medium of storytelling that I believe is truly unparalleled in a tragic subject matter that will leave your mind wandering in thought for days. Let's stand side by side together as we explore worlds that ended and how it happened. November 11th, 2012. A game-wide announcement and all-points bulletin was provided to the small but dedicated player base of Final Fantasy XIV. There was nothing left to be done. The reception the game had received was too poor, and the last year of updates couldn't patch this sinking ship. The game would be shut down on November 11th, 2012. What few players remained rallied anyone they knew who had previously played the game to gather on the game's last day. Players of all nationalities mounted up and rode for what they knew would be the last time in Final Fantasy XIV. They danced together, shared stories of the experiences they had with the game. Old friends who hadn't spoken in months got back online and embraced each other for the last time. It was beautiful. For the players of Final Fantasy XIV, it wasn't a funeral, it was a celebration of life, and they were enjoying what time they had left. Hundreds of players gathered in fields, watching as the moon grew brighter in the sky and floated closer to the planet's surface. The chat rooms were exploding with theories, concerns, whispers of what would happen. In one particular recording, a player asked their fellows why they were standing out in the open, and the player behind the camera replied, "Nowhere else to run. We're already dead." As everyone across the server, every location, every player watched the moon in the sky build to a crescendo, the screens all went black. And my favorite cutscene from any video game ever starts for every single player at the same time. If you want a genuine, fresh experience that you could never have again, please pause my video, head to the link in the description, and check out this cutscene from the original footage I borrowed it from. You will not regret this decision at all. This scene is best experienced completely blind, but if you don't care, you're more than welcome to continue the video. Here's your last warning. We watch as an actual war between the storied characters from our game is reaching an apex in front of us. Everything comes to a complete stop. All eyes turn as the entire moon shatters around. The dragon. Bahamut. escaping his prison and laying waste to the entire realm in an apocalypse of biblical proportions. The heroes you fought with throughout the campaign give all their power, sharing it, to try and imprison Bahamut one last time. And they fail. And the one man who was able to stand against Bahamut's mortal form in years past sends the player characters to a new realm with his last breath, smiling as the flames consume him and everything he knows, having done all he could for those he loved. Then, back to black. The server shut down, all is lost, and the world as these players have known it is over. It's dead. Until A Realm Reborn. Seeing as Final Fantasy XIV was considered a commercial failure, Square Enix wouldn't let down the few players that stood by them this whole time. In order to save Final Fantasy XIV, they needed a new fantasy. They rebuilt the game from the ground up in 2.0, and A Realm Reborn started the greatest glow-up in MMO history. A decade later, Final Fantasy XIV is a critically acclaimed MMORPG and one of the most popular in the entire world. And all of this life started from the death of the original world they all knew. It's poetic. The death itself is beautiful. Life begets anew. It's a cycle of death and rebirth, but you don't normally get to see it visualized in front of you like you do with Final Fantasy XIV. This was a really and truly special experience that I wish I could have been there for. Can you imagine as a player playing a game for so long, loving the game, even when the game wasn't doing well and the servers were going to go down, standing there with your friends for the last time as the world ends in front of you, and then it comes back better than ever. A once-in-a-lifetime experience, but this is ultimately how a world ends, and do not despair. This is also how a world is reborn. However, not all worlds are so fortunate. Its inhabitants so lucky. For the folks who played Tabula Rasa, there was no salvation waiting for them. In a not-so-distant future, humanity wasn't ready. It was a day like any other day. Around the globe, lives continued on, the planet spinning on its axis as it always had. Until the Bane came. They arrived with technologies beyond anything we'd seen, made quick work of our entire species. We fought them with a primitive vigor, our survival instincts born and bred from an eternity of evolution. But it was only through the help of another alien race that we stood a chance at all. They'd seen this coming and provided us with the weapons and tools to fight back against our oppressors. Those of us who were left from every nation took up arms and teleported across that black void. We rallied our resolve, pushed them further back than we had ever had a right to, continued expanding our freedom to every planet we could reach in the galaxy. A never-ending war of control on a global scale. Until NCSoft pulled the plug on February 28, 2009. You see, Tabula Rasa was universally considered a game with infinite potential. Even the negative reviews said that it had so much of a chance in the future if they kept working on it. but it had launched in a precarious position. The game was unfinished. It lacked a great depth. One could experience all the MMO had to offer in one single month and not need to resub. So it didn't matter that the developers spent an entire year diligently improving their game, even getting it to an incredible spot before the end. It was considered an incredible financial failure. Actual millions of dollars lost, and NCSoft cut their losses. But the developers who loved this game and worked on it for its entire life cycle couldn't let the players who stuck by them this entire time down. This story needed a conclusion, and it all ended with the conclusion of the war. There was no Grand Mage to whisk us off to another existence, no second coming and half a year to fix everything that went wrong, no Tabula Rasa reforged. The Bane finally showed their full hand. We found out we never really stood a chance. On the last day, players, veterans, and new showed up to fight for humanity's last stand. The game had even gone free to play in the last moments, so new recruits bore witness to the end. A never-ending tide of Bane soldiers teleported onto our surface. Every outpost across our galaxy that we planted seeds in was uprooted. One by one, the Bane slaughtered our comrades. Players fought bravely to the last breath at every colony across the universe. Shoulder to shoulder, they were mowed down by superior technology, superior numbers. But there was a faint glimmer of hope. Back on the planet that started it all, our home, Earth, players managed to rally and reclaim every last outpost across the entire world. We pushed out the invaders with all our blood, sweat, and tears. Humanity's last stand, a thin strand, the smallest chance. But it was not to last. Their ships tore through the mushroom clouds, clad in impenetrable armor. Their forces were insurmountable. Every outpost humanity clawed back from our oppressors was left a flaming, bloody heap, as every NPC and every player character were slaughtered by Bane hands. As announced, the servers eventually went down, but with no purpose anymore. Everyone was already dead. Every planet fought for over the game's lifecycle was destroyed. In Tabula Rasa, there was nothing left to log on to anyways. Humanity lost, and they never stood a chance. But the death of our world, up in flames and smoke, doesn't mean the end of our memories. Through our shared remembrance, photos, videos, stories that we tell, we share the chapters of our digital lives that we lived in those days. And fortunately, both of these worlds we just looked at ended and got a narrative conclusion. Its inhabitants got that conclusion they deserved. Most worlds aren't so lucky. In the year of the live service game 2025, games come and go. Worlds start and end faster than we've ever seen, and unceremoniously at that. You can spend an entire year loving a game and investing so much of your time and money into it, only to get a Twitter post to let you know that it's going to die next month. No fanfare, no tact, just cold corporate indifference. Maybe thank you for playing, or we did everything we could. Whatever corporate is you prefer to announce the end of a world some people called home. But all of these worlds as people knew them have died. They live on in spirit, stories, vintage YouTube recordings. This is how a world ends. Sometimes in fire, sometimes in silence. Sometimes it's reborn. And unfortunately, sometimes it only lives on in memory. But for those of us who were there, for those who danced under a dying moon or fought to the bitter end on Earth, those worlds will never truly die, and those memories are never lost. Not as long as we remember. Thank you for watching.